Hey,
Lovely meeting you.
yes.
Thanks for joining my podcast, Spiritual Connections by Joelle.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
As we're getting started, and I totally want to dive in and hear all about you. And I know a bit about you, but I have to go through and thank you because you've helped me on my medium journey, like a snippet. But here I'll give you the background. So
Okay.
you've read me, but then you've also read like a bunch of my family members, and they told me you have to hit up the Redneck Medium, have her read you. So I did. I wasn't a medium yet. You didn't, I don't think we tapped into that. I think I've always been told by mediums that I'm an empath, which I definitely have always been.
Sure.
But I don't think we tapped into that, which is interesting, right? Like it's just something like I said I was hit by psychic lightning. It just like came on like that. But after it happened, it was such, I sometimes call awakenings rude awakenings
Mhm.
because they're just so rapid and fast. And like I was like a baby bird. I didn't know how to handle, and like spirits coming to me while I'm sleeping, spirits, you know, like anywhere and everywhere. They were just constantly bothering me and I didn't know how to like manage it. And I think I wrote you an email asking you if you could give me any tips of how to shut off spirit. And you told
Yeah.
me about grounding.
Yeah. Okay. It's kind of coming back to me a little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you hit me up, and it was just a very short, very quick little thing that you wrote back to me, and I was so forever grateful because how like that's so easy knowledge for somebody like you. And I want to dive into your history of everything, but for somebody that came into the awakening very fast and very hard, it was so unsettling for me, and that was like the best advice you could have gave me. So thank you.
Okay. Welcome.
Okay. So I want to start at the beginning. I want to know, like, were you born with this gift? What I know your abilities that you are a pet psychic, and like I kind of want to know where your gifts, like, even if it's something that you don't put as a service of like what you might have as your abilities and how that all came for you.
My gosh. I know. I wish I had some like amazing background story on this, like how this came to be. But like looking back on my spiritual journey, like, yes, I absolutely was born with this ability. I just didn't know what it was back then, right? Because
Hmm.
I really didn't transition into my mediumship until like my mid 20s. But looking back, like I've always had a very strong connection to animals. Like I always called them my Disney princess moments, like wild birds. I could like get them to land on my fingers. Like it was wild. And it was like I never met like a strange dog or, like a stranger or something. Like my family always would joke, like, oh my gosh, yeah, the dogs love you, even if the dog hates people. Like I was always drawn to animals and being an empath, like just feeling all the emotions and everything. So yeah, I would get sucked into vortexes. So it's like alternate realities. Like that's kind of like what you would picture. So it's like alternate states.
Okay.
And it would be shadow people and I would
Okay.
get stuck there. And I remember this. So I was like 10, 11 years old and I got stuck. So it felt like a dream. Like everything was hazy and it's like all of these shadow people were just like kept surrounding me and I got stuck for like hours. And that's when I shut it down because it freaked me out.
And you were 11 at this time?
Yeah, I was either like 10 or 11.
That's completely frightening.
Yeah.
I always said I don't think if I was born with the gift, and especially for people who see full apparitions, I don't know if I would have embraced my gift as much as I do.
Sure. No,
So
I totally get it.
yeah, I don't know how people who now when you were little, did you have that full apparitions and like did you see how did you know that you had this gift? So like you didn't tap into it until your 20s, but was it just in like your day to day, like you would hear things or you would see things that weren't there? How did you even know?
So I like joke now because I tell Spirit, I'm like, if I see you out here, I'm like, I'm shutting this down. So I'm like what they would call clairvoyant. So I see like everything mentally, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Yep.
knock on wood, I have yet to see spirit outside of my body. I don't want to, but I've heard that it's eventually going to come. It eventually happens to us.
Okay.
But yeah, so basically like it would just like I always thought I had a vivid imagination because I didn't
Hmm.
know what it was. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So
Oh,
and then
definitely.
once these like altered states, like I didn't know what it was. And like I said, like once I got stuck, I was like, no, because I thought it was kind of cool at first because
Yeah.
I didn't have any control over it. So it just kind of would happen here and there. Once that happened, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not fun.
Did you
So,
communicate it with like your parents?
no,
How did they react? Are you of generation? Because I definitely have passed that they've seen full apparitions, but they weren't psychic. They weren't like they didn't step into the role of like a psychic medium,
sure.
but they had special abilities. So I believe that it does follow in my generational, but
Was taught that it takes one to birth one, and I definitely get my abilities from my dad's side of the family,
okay.
which is so funny. Like, not that my dad's against this, but it's just like he has premonitions all the time, and they're like on point. And then his mom, I never met her. She passed away before I was born, but there's like stories of her like knowing things, like her like actual psychic abilities because like I'm sure as you've discovered like not all psychics are mediums but all mediums are psychics. I don't know if you've ever heard that
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
So I don't know necessarily if she was like a medium per se, but like their psychic abilities are on point. So like I've just like heard the stories and stuff. So
Wow. Oh, definitely. So I would assume that if you brought up anything in your childhood when you were having these experiences and when you got stuck in that vortex, did you communicate and talk to your parents about that? And how receptive were they?
remember my mom being like, go drink water. Cause like she's like, you know what I mean? Like totally baby boomer. Like that was her solution to everything. So like and then I do
I feel
remember
like
like
my cousin told me I do that. Like she's like, you always tell your kids to go drink water. And I'm like,
go drink water. That's gonna solve all your problems. Go drink the water.
I'm like, oh no. Do I do that? Okay.
But I do remember kind of like when I was little, like I was like I'm my dad's best friend. Like I'm happy to admit that. But I remember like riding in the truck with him and I thought that I kind of remember saying something like, oh, like I heard this happen and then it happened. And he was like, no, no one can do that. And just kind of like laughed it off. So it kind of, you know what I mean? Not that he was like, oh gosh, no, like spooky woo woo, but
Okay.
he was like, that can't happen. So I just kind of brushed it off, you know?
Okay. Gotcha. If you are enjoying this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow along. I appreciate each and every one of you. So when I was growing up, my mom was a huge fan of oh my gosh, no, Sylvia Brown.
Yeah.
Sylvia Brown. And so Sylvia Brown books, and my mom came into her awakening. She was brought
Sure.
up in the Catholic Church, and then she went through this whole thing. So she found Sylvia Brown, Teresa Caputo. That was like me
Mhm.
growing up. I was always watching and finding it fascinating, right? They pull you in with the just the heartfelt readings and the whole mysterious of the like consciousness outside of the body. Like it was just so fascinating in the 90s. Like it was just something that we didn't not everybody talked about, right? Like it was so
Yeah.
taboo at
Yeah.
that time. And so my mom was very supportive of things that I had as a child. I I'm assuming that because you being a medium since you were born, that you were like me, that we just could not sleep. We did not sleep as children. Like we just felt like there was something constantly in our rooms and we didn't know how to do that, like how to manage and like deal with that. Did you have that?
Actually, no, I was fine. I was a great sleeper. Like it was almost a comfort to me just because I was such a loner that I
Okay.
really became like connected and attached to like my spiritual team, if that makes sense. So there was
Okay.
never fear behind it.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. I didn't have that experience. I definitely had things that I couldn't explain. And then now as I'm older, my mom's coming back and telling me stories. She was like, "Oh, there was definitely like a negative energy in your room." And I'm like,
Oh
"What? I
gosh.
don't know. What? You're telling me this now?" So um, I'm assuming you know your aura.
No.
You don't know your aura.
I mean, no.
So I wasn't sure. So can I tell you what it is?
Yeah, of course.
So, I wasn't sure because when I was looking on your like Facebook feed, I was thinking your indigo and your yellow kind of play back and forth, like which one's gonna play the primary role here, right? And so, and then your third, your tricolor, so you have purple as well.
How
So,
fun.
do you know all the colors and like what they mean? Do you want me to tell you?
So, yeah, no, please.
Okay.
Um,
So indigo is definitely the more sensitive. They tend to be loners. They like their self-reflection time. Like they have no problem being by themselves all the time. Like
okay.
they're very content with, sitting at home, reading a book, whatever it is. They also are very good with animals. Like animals flock to them. They'd rather sit and have time with like animals than anybody else, than people.
Okay. Yeah, totally makes sense. Yep.
Your yellow, when it comes into play and where it might get bigger is when you're doing your teaching. So I know that you're a preschool teacher and that yellow is being very organized. It's being like they like lists and charts and they're good at party planning and they make fabulous teachers. They're just very organized, like meticulous, and they like their junk drawer isn't even a junk drawer. It's like organized. Like they love color coordinating and things like that. But I almost feel like your yellow gets pushed away when you're maybe using your medium abilities, and then like
Yes.
you'll pull it back in when you're doing your teacher abilities. And so I feel like this wave of that it plays back and forth. And then purple is which is your last color, but purples are really fun. We're like I say we because I'm a purple. Purples just like are more outgoing. That's the outgoing part of you. And it's the purples are like we see beyond the veil and they're just more intuitive than others and things like that. And it's an empathic color,
Okay. That was
purple.
amazing. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Okay, so I was reading about you doing your pet psychic. Now, when you do that, because I've done that for people before that, like we do it for like pets that they've lost,
Mhm.
deceased pets. But do you also do it with pets that are alive? Like how do you work that?
Absolutely. So it basically is just like a reading with a person. So they communicate with me through like my five senses, like just like how I would if I was sitting down with you, like doing a intuitive reading, right?
Hmm.
So it's interesting. I typically connect better, I mean, I air quote that with live pets, just like tuning into that energy better.
Okay.
But without a doubt, usually there's some kind of animal that comes through like during a reading.
Yeah, I've definitely found that too. And I feel like I've actually read pet auras and they
Oh,
have an
cool.
aura too. And that's always interesting, but they only like with people we can have usually two aura colors or three. And with pets it's just one. And it's usually like
Interesting.
an empathic. It's like blue or purple or something like the animal totems you brought up on your website. And I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Like an animal totem that you have like with you with a reading?
So a totem is a natural sign from spirit universe, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
And so because of my connection with animals, that's pretty profound. That's what comes through very strong. So its universe is like that's your sign and symbol to look out for, if that makes sense.
So is this something that you see in your clairvoyance screen that you'll get the symbol and you're calling an animal totem? Why did I think like an animal Why did I
Like
think it was
a
like something that you like brought with you to your reading like a
Okay, so totem is kind of like an umbrella term, okay?
okay. Okay.
So, but in like the shamanism realm, totem is a natural sign. And so
Okay.
animal totem is obviously animals, but a totem can be anything. It can be angel numbers, it can be, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't necessarily have a totem doesn't have to be an animal, but mine is specific to animals.
Okay. Okay. And I saw that you offer the Reiki sessions with your horses.
I
And
do,
please
yes.
explain that. Go into that.
So horses are huge healers. I think they are the most powerful animal that connects us to the spiritual realm. They are so healing. They're empathetic. They're one of probably the only animals besides a dog that can really tune into our energetic field. And so I literally set up my Reiki table in my field, and my horses will come surround you as I do energy work. I never say I do healing because that's not my job. My job is to kind of help you get that energy going, energy flow, clear up blockages, get that energy moving. And so they help me like kind of tune into that better. And they help kind of carry away anything that's not long, like no longer serving you.
That's fabulous. How have you seen the differences with the clients coming using I'm assuming that you started doing Reiki sessions and then transitioned into using the horses doing the Reiki sessions as well. I would think that
Yes.
would be the natural order of things to get comfortable in the
Yes.
Reiki world. And then
Absolutely.
I've been doing massage for like 22 years, so I know I get it. I've been in the professional world for a long time. What have you seen the changes of from doing your own like Reiki sessions, just you, and then Reiki sessions with the
With
horses?
the horses,
Yeah.
I it's more magical for me. I feel like I tend to get more like it's almost like a reading session as I'm doing your energy work.
Yeah.
Whereas before, if it was just me, it was just like I was just concentrating on the energy, like trying to find those blocks and get that energy flowing and things. So it really kind of like amplifies like my abilities. So I'm so
I
grateful for them.
I would think that would be like a collective as well, because you're almost like calling them in, explaining, like you communicate with them already. So I know intuitively you probably put it out there to them, like, we're going to do this session today. This person is here. So when you're doing a reading in person or on the phone, what do you do to prepare? How do you prepare for a reading? Like, how much time do you need? Like, is there music involved? I always have my opalite heart with me. I don't know, it's just my thing.
Yeah, totally. No, I get it. I get it. So it's interesting because I have to prepare individual readings differently than I do if it's like a big reading, gathering, like what they call gallery readings. So it's like more than one person. I do a lot of like Bourbon and Beyond, Louder Than Life. I've done readings there where it's like constantly for 8 hours nonstop. So when I'm doing
Oh,
individual, oh my God, it's so fun. It's life-changing.
really?
Um,
I'm like, that sounds draining though at the same time.
Oh, it's I not really because it's a muscle. So it's kind of like the more that you build up that muscle. And obviously,
Okay.
like the day after I'm done, I'm like, nope, can't do anymore, like shut myself off from the world. But it's like a
Yeah.
day of recovery and I'm good to go. But
Okay.
so with individual readings, it's like, okay, kind of have to sit. I usually need about 5 minutes just to kind of sit quiet. Sometimes I'll put healing frequency on, sometimes I don't. I'm a huge selenite user. So
Hmm.
selenite the crystal, it's
Hmm.
think of it as like a magic eraser.
Yep.
So I
I
just
got
kind of
mine right here.
scrub. Yeah, exactly. I kind of scrub my third eye to clear it out to make sure that it's free flowing, that energy
Okay.
to come in. Now, if I'm getting ready for a bigger event, like a gallery reading, like one time I did 250 people at a corporate Christmas party. And so I have to get that energy flowing. So I blast like hardcore metal just to like get that energy pumping. Like I will sit in the parking lot in my car and just blast the music. So it's interesting how I've kind of learned to do that.
Yeah.
But I gotta like have something to help me build that momentum before I do something like big.
I find music is huge with lifting your vibration, right?
Yes.
Like music, I I said it in this podcast earlier in my introduction that when I talk about like me driving in the car and I'm jamming out and I'm like I just feel like people can see it that like my crown chakra, like the top of my head just feels like it's completely off. And I'm like,
Yeah.
can't you see that? I'm like driving around
Come
like, can't
on.
you see?
Yeah.
Doesn't everybody see?
But it's funny because as an empath, you really have to be careful of what kind of music you listen to.
Mm.
So if you start listening to those like sad, like it really will lower your vibration.
Oh,
So
definitely.
like you got to be careful. But no, I had to have like upbeat metal hardcore something pumping. So
To really get you going. So I find that I started using just from day one from doing medium circles before I even started doing readings is I just grab a little bit of each element. So I try to grab like something with wind. So I always grab a feather,
I love that.
wind, water. which is just my drink, and then a stone for earth. And so I try
Mhm.
to like balance that, and then I always light a candle.
Oh, I love that. No, it's like there's no wrong way to do this. It's whatever you're comfortable with and whatever works for you.
It's so true. It's so true. And I'm still learning as I go, but it's been a whirlwind. And Spirit has showed me that it's like taking off like a race car. That's what they showed me from day one, which is really cute. The other thing I was just reading on your Facebook, but this is an older post that you did, is the inner heterochromia on the eye. Isn't that how you say
Yes.
it? Heterochromia.
Heterochromia.
Yeah.
Heterochromia.
So
Yes.
how, I mean, listen, we know that there's no coincidences, right? Like now that we've been doing this for a while, but my girlfriend at work actually told me that I have heterochromia. I mean, only maybe 2 weeks ago that I just found out.
How funny.
I know, and then I saw it on your post. So let's explain to, do you mind explaining it to our listeners of
What it
what
is?
you
Yeah,
heard?
what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so heteochromia is where you have two different colors on your eyes. So, for example, mine is kind of a blue green and then it transitioned into brown, like to the pupil. So it's like blue green and then it goes in. So it's multicolored eyes in your, I can't even think of the name. What are those
The
called? Your
iris.
iris. Thank you. I was like,
Yes.
not pupil, iris. Yes.
You're
So,
fine. And it's probably only because I just read your post. And so I just,
yeah.
otherwise I probably wouldn't think of that. There's the external too, heterochromia. So I don't know where you got the fact. Like, where did you hear that with the inner heterochromia about it being, can you explain the detail of like where you got that information and what it explained?
Honestly, I don't remember
You
where I
don't
found
remember? Okay,
it.
that's okay.
It was so long ago.
That's okay.
But I do believe that people with it's very like a rare, it's a very low percentage, a number of people. Um, and it's like you're able to see on the other side, like it's your abilities, your mediumship abilities. I think that's connected into it. So
Yeah, I want to say that it was less than 1%, if not 2% of the population of the inner heterochromia. And then that gives you the ability of like psychic abilities, like you already have that intuitive sense. And it's just, if you have that, that's most likely a sign that you have these abilities,
you have it,
which
yeah.
we believe that everybody has these abilities. It's just some are going to tap into it more than others and use the ability, you know,
Of course.
and accept it.
Anyone can do this. Anyone can do
Exactly.
it. Yep.
Exactly. What um do you have any of readings that really stick out to you that like you've carried with you for years? Like, do you have any moments that really stuck with you and you're like forever will be in your heart?
Yes. Like, just like a handful of them. My favorite one was it was a group reading and it was like three siblings and their dad had just passed away. And so at the end of every session of mine, I always ask, like, do you have any questions for me? Like, how can I, wrap this up in a pretty little bow for you? And their last question was like, how does our dad feel about the other side? And so because I'm clairvoyant, like I said, I get those like think of it as like a slideshow in your mind, those pictures like in your third eye. And so I kept seeing like a kaleidoscope. And you know how kaleidoscope, like it's so vividly bright and things were shifting in beautiful shapes. And he just was the colors is what really stuck out to me. And I always joke like the hardest part about being a medium is interpreting the messages that we're getting. But it was like, okay, there's something about colors. And so I said, like, he loves the colors on the other side. And I mean, it was two daughters and a son, and the son had like not spoken really this whole time, and he just sobbed. And to find out their dad was colorblind. And so he
Oh my
never knew what colors
gosh.
were in the physical world. So, oh, I got
Gosh.
goosebumps
I
again.
know. I know. I totally got goosebumps too. I
But that's
love
probably that's
reading.
probably like my favorite. And then another one, it was interesting. Like, I don't know if you've experienced this in your readings, but I always give the option, like, hey, are we doing psychic readings, which typically don't say, I say like future possibilities, intuitive readings versus spirit connection. So that's connecting in with loved ones. And it was like a quick phone reading, and she was like, oh, I just want like future things. But gosh, I just kept getting this name over and over again. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I know you want this, but can I bring this through? And she kind of was hesitant. And I was like, Charlie. like, how do you know Charlie? And I was like, he keeps showing me a bow tie. And she finally was able to compose herself. And she said that was my infant daughter who passed away from SIDS. And the bow, it wasn't a bow tie, like I said, the way that we interpret things, but she
Mhm.
had buried her with all of her bow collection because she used to wear big giant bows. So it was just like that gratitude of like, thank you for like allowing me to have like a piece of my things with me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are
Which
probably the two that really stand out.
there's definitely been some readings that have been harder than others, right? With a lot of trauma and, infancy passings but it's like all I will get emotional and like when spirit brings me in and really gives you that raw feeling, right? When you just like can't help but cry with them and sob and feel the sadness that they feel of their loved one who's passed. Um, but they still also show you how amazing it is on the other side that they're like, don't cry. They always tell me that they're like, you would not cry or shed a tear if you knew how beautiful this place is and how well loved and comforted I was.
Yeah,
Like that's what I get
absolutely.
all the time. And it's so beautiful and it's amazing every time. I wanted to delve into more of like a layer of your gifts. I want to know exactly like yes, you do the psychic, you do the Reiki, but it almost sounds like an intuitive healing as well, because you have the mediumship. And then I just kind of want to know. Do you,
Gosh,
what like
no, I know you make it sound like I'm this like plethora of things, but no, it's really basic. Like I see into the future. Okay.
yes,
So
yes.
again, but I never say I predict the future. You never like at least my verbiage, like if I say, oh, like, well, I'm predicting the future, that sounds so like concrete and it's gonna happen, but I never want to take away your free will and neither does spirit. So I do those future possibilities. I do spirit connection. I have what's called animal communication. So the pet, tuning into animals and the pet readings.
Yep.
I have done aura readings before. Reiki, which is, the energy work that I do, but that's kind of what like my focus is on now because I know that it can be overwhelming. So it's like, oh, okay, like I feel like doing this week or looking into it this week, but that's kind of where I draw the line, like too much, too much. So, got to rein it back a little bit.
And that might be your purple aura since I'm purple aura first. I'm kind of like, I'm doing this today. I'm doing this tomorrow. I'm gonna be this today. And like my family's like, let's go along for the ride.
That's right.
But I wanted to know too, with your Reiki sessions, so I have some angelic beings that I actually work with do you call in anybody that helps you with your sessions? Do you have anybody like that besides your spirit guides? I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no. So, I am learning to meet my team, as I call them. And so they come and go as I need them in life. And so I know that it's never just going to be like this consistent team all the time. But no, I just, I surround myself with love and light. That's kind of the intention that I set. And so I kind of have like my one operator who's actually my aunt. I have worked with angels before. I actually don't have any past lives because I am a reincarnated angel. So I have no memories or anything. And so that was kind of interesting to learn and to tap into. So I'm just kind of like doing a service that I wasn't able to do when I was in the angelic realm.
We need to backtrack on that because that is amazing. That's really, really cool. And I want to know how your guides directed that to you or how you got that information. Did you go to the Akashic records? Did they show you there? How was this presented to you?
All of the above. So I had an Akashic record. And so I kept trying to like talk about the past. And the woman was like, no, it's blocked. It's like you're gonna have to. She was like, I can't do this because you have to figure it out yourself. Then I tried past life regressions, which is tapping into past lives. And that's
Yeah.
when the door like fully it I actually got sick, like motion sickness, and threw up. Probably one of the most embarrassing times of my life, but the girl was so cool. She was amazing about it. So on take two, I was able to dive in deeper. which would make
Okay.
sense because they were sending me to the heavens. And so I
Yes.
was motion sickness because it was so fast, like the acceleration.
That resonates so much with me because when I was learning my gifts, I had asked my guides in the beginning. I said I was just sitting calmly, I think, at my dining table. I wasn't even in a meditation space. But I said to them, can you take me to the Akashic Records? And it felt so far for me to go for the first time. And they actually had to guide me there. I couldn't go there by myself. Now I can go there by myself. But initially, I had to be like
Lead.
accompanied, yeah, like almost
Yeah.
accompanied. They had to hold my hand and take me there. And it just felt so far. And I got exactly like you, like it was almost like, whoa. And there have been times where I have little kids and something happened where my son called my name or something, and I was reading for somebody, just a family member, in the Akashic records, and I had to snap back like this, and I went, and I had
Oh,
to take this big gas and I felt so sick, so nauseous. So
I
I
get
know
it.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yep. At least you didn't throw up.
I didn't go that far. Oh my gosh, you poor thing. You
It's
are
okay.
so embarrassed.
Not my proudest moment, but that's okay.
What was your purpose as an angel? Did you get that information? Do you have any of that?
That is something that I keep to myself and that
Okay.
my guides don't want me to share.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. So when I was younger, like I said, my mom was very much into Sylvia Brown. We were all into, we had a friend of ours that knew a fabulous medium. This is how she did her readings. Like I don't do 3 hour sessions. She did 3 hour sessions and they were past, present, and future.
Okay.
And I went to her house and she was like this old lady chain smoking like crazy.
Man.
And she had a ton of cats. It was like typical, what you think you'd walk into if you were gonna
Yeah.
walk into a psychic medium's house. And she gave me my life's purpose at that time,
Okay.
and it was very interesting. And I don't know if you've ever heard from somebody else, not your guides, but have you ever had a reading or anything like that that you could share of what your purpose?
So it's haven't had that many personal readings. And so I've never specifically tapped into that before. But
Okay.
I know that that is a love language of mine, like acts of service, and this
Hmm.
is exactly why I do this. It's
Exactly.
not for the money, it's not
Hmm.
for the, like the publicity. It's
Yeah.
I want to help people.
Exactly. Well, I would think that having a full-time job, you are a preschool teacher, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
And so that must be hard too, navigating that because sometimes when I'm out, I tell spirit, I'm in the off position. I know how to turn it off and on now, thank goodness. And so we can live normal lives, right? And go out and grocery shop and do our things that we need to do. But when you're in that setting all the time, how do you explain to spirit and are they respectful to you when you ask them, if they do I always tell them emergencies only, but most
Oh,
of the time
interesting.
I'm in the off position. But my husband likes to tell me, he's like, you seem to get more emergencies than other people. But really, honestly, in the amount of that I'm out in public, once every day with the grocery store or wherever I'm going, it'll maybe happen once a month. And
Yeah.
I don't
That's
think
not a
that's,
lot.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
not a
so.
lot at
I know.
all.
I know.
Actually, I'm guilty as I don't ever shut it off, and I know that I need to. So I don't ever shut it off. I know it's
How do
really
you live
bad.
life?
I just
How?
go about my day. This
No.
probably explains like all the anxiety, but yeah, no, I know
Oh,
it's so bad. I'm guilty. Like this is like confessional. Like I don't turn it off and I need to.
oh my gosh. That's how you helped me because really, when I first got my gift, I was so I felt like I was on both planes. I was both in the spiritual realm and here, and like, I wasn't sad. I wasn't happy. I wasn't angry. I wasn't anything. I just was like, blah, but I couldn't function as a mom. I couldn't function as a spouse. I couldn't function as, a caregiver and things like that. Like my daily life was just really going in shambles. And I remember my husband having a serious talk with me and being like, you need to really reel this in, you know?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm so sorry. I just got this and I'm trying to figure it out. And I think that's when I reached out to you and you were able to help me, which was a
I'm so
huge,
glad to hear that. Yeah,
oh my
absolutely. I
gosh.
know I need to practice what I preach, but I don't. I don't turn it off. I mean, if I get a message, but like I know when the proper time is to deliver a message, but I
Okay.
don't. You know what I mean? I respect other people's boundaries, so it's not like I'm walking around being like, "Oh, do you want a message from your loved one?" Like,
Yeah.
no, like
Yeah.
that's not okay. Or and I really try not to tap into people also, because like if I don't have their permission, it's
Of
like
course.
boundaries, right?
Yes,
So I know, but
definitely.
I don't turn it off and I know I need to. So this is good
So
validation.
and I'll explain to you how in a meditation somebody described it as a rose, like your crown chakra as a rosebud.
Mhm.
And when you're open and working, that it's like this beautiful petals open, ready to receive, and like anything can, and I like picture it going across vast universes. I just like picture it going, going, going. And then
Sure.
when you're in the off position, it just turns into like a little rosebud and you're just off.
So cute. I may have to borrow that.
Right, go for it. That's why I told you about it. Also, when you did your beautiful reading for me, which I'm trying to think back of what we discussed, the only thing that stands out is that you told me that I was going to get another dog, and I did get another dog.
Yay. See, animals, they
I
know.
know, I know it. I know it. And I think I probably cried because I lost my other dog shortly before I think we had our reading and he was like my heart and soul, and I had him forever. And just kind of like your horse, how you've had your horse forever. So it's like when it's their time to go. And I think I grieved him so much before that when he actually passed, I just felt like this like whole release and just amazing, beautiful. And I was like, why am I not crying anymore? Aren't I supposed to cry after he passes? This is before I was a medium too. I wasn't a medium at that time.
Yes, you were. You just weren't aware of it,
I
right?
guess. I
And
guess.
that's because mediums, one of our main jobs is to help others cross over in a sense. And so you filled your purpose for him. So that's why
Oh,
it wasn't so brutal, is because you
oh,
helped him. And so he kind of gave you permission to be able to be okay with it.
oh my gosh, I'm getting all teary-eyed.
Oh, I know it's so
Oh, it's
hard.
so cute. The animals, they're just so special to us,
They
right?
really
Like
are.
they help us in so many ways. And there's some that are just more specific that are you feel that connection with. Um
Mhm.
but what I was going to ask too is in the reading, you went through like vitamin deficiencies and things like that. So is that something that you get from spirit that you tap into, or you like naturally tap into kind of healing things? How does that work?
It's got to come from somewhere because where else am I getting it from, right?
True.
So honestly, I don't know where it comes from, but if it's like, it just feels like someone's like poking me in the shoulder. So if I get something like, okay, for example, like, oh, okay, vitamin A, and it's like, hello, it's like poke, 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 vitamin A, tell her vitamin A. And so it's like, well, I have to say vitamin A. So it's just kind of like this rush of energy and like this feeling like I have to say this. So that's kind of how it works for me. But honestly, I don't like doing health because I don't want to be wrong. I hate being wrong. And I
Hmm.
feel like health is like a big thing where I don't get that validation back. So sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I typically try to like avoid the medium health stuff. So
I get it. I get it. I've been down that road. I've done it. I've done a few things here and there. And then it's like, but you don't want to. I always explain to them, listen, I'm not a doctor.
Yep.
I want you to go continue going to your doctor. I can tap in and ask these questions for you. But,
Absolutely.
that's how I kind of lead with it because I don't want them.
You have to like you have to be safe. You know what I mean? This is like
Exactly.
my disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing you. I'm just tuning into your energy. Like, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
And I don't know if I've done it psychically or if it's more coming from spirit, like a quick I call it a body scan, kind
Yeah,
of like,
exactly.
yeah.
Mhm. Me too.
And then
Yep.
we'll just do a quick body scan and I feel like it's kind of spirit guiding me though, as opposed to it being a
See,
psychic.
that's why I'm kind of like it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because I feel like it's an outside source. So you say that your clairvoyance is the strongest. I'm assuming that you have all the clairs.
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, funny thing that I'm finding out is that my clairaudience is always on. Like even though I turn off and the clear audience is always way that spirit contacts me when I'm just walking around in the shower, whatever it is. And I don't know if you get that. Well, I mean, you're turned on all the time, so I guess that
Not at all.
probably is that might be the case for you then always. But I want to hear how yours works because I'm finding that when I'm in readings, I'm more just like clairvoyant. And then I'm like, where does my clairaudient go when I'm working and channeling? I don't understand why they can't do it as well as when they do it when I'm by myself.
No, I know, right? So it ebbs and flows. So just think of
Yeah.
it that way. And so eventually, like, and also it's really fun is because as you're doing a reading, you can focus on one clair. Like,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
okay, so like you can set that intention, like today I'm gonna do all clear gustins. Like today I'm doing all clear audience. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
you can kind of set that intention.
Okay.
But it's kind of like I feel like I don't have control over it per se. So it's like
Hmm.
whatever's coming through the strongest. But that is like my superpower. So my
Hmm.
clairvoyance.
I
So
know. Same. And there's so many times that things come up in readings, right? And we're like, why? Why are they showing us this? We don't know, but I always trust and honor. And you give that message, right? And you're like, listen, I don't know why
I
they're
have to
showing.
say it.
I know.
Don't shoot the
I
messenger.
know. And so it's sometimes they're like, oh, I know exactly what that means. And other times they're like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like it's just out of the blue, completely so funny. I can't believe you listen to the hard rock. You're so funny. That elevates your I need to listen to stuff that is like moving to me that is I don't even know what I listen to. I listen to all sorts of things. But
Yeah,
like
I do too.
pop, upbeat, like that kind of stuff, like exactly what you're saying. But you just cracked me up with that. I don't know why I thought of that movie, that little cartoon. Oh, Monsters Incorporated. Have you seen that? Do you have kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have
Do-
kids, but I teach kids enough
Yeah.
kids to know what that is.
The
But yes.
Monsters Incorporated University, that one, when she's like,
Oh, the
okay, kids.
mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's like, okay, kids, I'm just gonna listen to my tunes. And she's like,
Yeah, that's me. I'd be that. If I was a mom, I'd be that mom.
oh my gosh. Don't you find now you do these small sitting readings for an 8 hour span, but I'm assuming that have you also done group readings?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Don't you find now that this is up to, like you can tell me your personal opinion. Don't you find that like group readings are like brrr, like you gotta like rapid fire because of the fact that it's like, you know, one after the next, after the next, after the next. And like they kind of jump around for me. Like I'll jump to the one person and then kind of back to them as opposed to like being finished.
Hmm.
Do you find
Hmm.
that?
Yeah, it's funny. It was like 25 people, and it was one of my very first like solo events doing a group reading. And it was funny because this one girl, like I kept going back to her, and I think I like brought in five different people, and everyone was like, it's a family reunion. But it's like I kind of like I'm like, hey, I can't control like who comes through. So like I apologize. And then I feel bad, but at least it seemed like everyone was enjoying it. But yeah, it's like I have no control. So
Hmm.
sorry.
Yeah. I know. And they're just so funny. Spirit can be so funny of how you're communicating and then you're like hearing somebody else and you're like like hold on a moment, just wait your turn, you know.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to tell them because they're definitely going to be their personalities that they were in life, right? Like so the shy ones are the shy ones and the loud speaking ones are the loud speaking ones. And definitely I find the loud speaking ones are the ones that like get through the crowd.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
Th-
sure.
They're just and I tried to help with I had this one reading and then we'll wrap up soon is that her dad, we talked about her dad and this has been on the podcast that I said I don't know, he just doesn't seem like he wants to chat. Like he just doesn't seem like a chatty kind of guy. And she's like, "Oh no, I would sit next to him and think to myself, do you just want to watch the paint dry on the wall?"
Oh, well,
So
see,
like
it's like tuning into that personality. Absolutely.
it's so true because they're just like kind of a like I always call it like pulling teeth. Like, okay, you know, they're sitting here, they want more validation from you, and then they're just like crickets. Krr, krr.
Yeah,
And they
for
can be
sure.
so funny in that way. But then I usually validate, well, is that their personality? And they're like, yeah,
Well, yep.
yeah, exactly. I'm
Hasn't
like,
changed.
okay. so cute. I am so grateful that you took this time to sit with me and sit for my podcast today. You're an
Yes.
amazing, beautiful soul. You go out and you do wonderful things for people. And uh, I mean, I'm so grateful that you took the time to sit with me. Like
Oh my
this is the
gosh.
best.
I'm so honored that you asked me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I'd love you to tell my listeners of where they can book a session with you, how they can look you up. Go ahead and give your information to them.
Yeah, so I'm the Redneck Medium, Kayla Sellers. So you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Redneck Medium, and you can always book a reading or if you have any questions at redneckmedium.com.
Okay, everything I'm always going to post with the information below. So that way all my listeners can reach out to Kayla because she's just fabulous. So I want you guys to go ahead and set something up with her. She's really life-changing. So if you have that opportunity, I would go ahead and do that.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.